Let me ask you a question. Do you think Cartoon Network should feature Adult Swim in its programming schedule still? Should Cartoon Network replace Adult Swim with something else? Adult Swim is a cable network, being in the nighttime block of Cartoon Network, airing many shows around the time that children would be normally sleeping. The network features a wide variety of shows that include Fox animated programming, anime, mockumentaries, and a lot of aesthetically experimental and improvised original programming, known for their bumps, April Fool's Day stunts, and other famous or infamous original animated series such as, according to the TV by the numbers, Adult Swim is available to about 96 million households in early 2015. Welcome to a segment on the animation block of the Alpha J show called Open Ended. It's a more technical and analytical segment where I, the Alpha J, decide to discuss certain meta topics of reviewing, analyzing, or critiquing. I wouldn't necessarily call these tips because I only present my thoughts in a casual manner, stripping anything down to the essential parts. So let's get down to it. So to answer this question, let us first ask, what does Adult Swim offer? Well, they have acquired animated shows like the Fox imported Family Guy, American Dad, and Bob's Burgers, as well as their original animated series like Mike Tyson Mysteries, Mr. Pickles, and Rick and Morty. They supply a bit of anime like Bleach, Cowboy Bebop, and One Punch Man. Then there's the live action, sketch comedies, or mockumentaries such as Dream Corp LLC, The Eric Andre Show, and Decker Unclassified. They also end the Adult Swim Golf Classic, so it is safe to say that they do and try many things, as well as borrow many things to make them as varied as they are. So when you think of Adult Swim, you have to imagine this big source for a lot of anime, parodies, and surrealist humor. So before I answer the title question, let me ask, if not Adult Swim, then what? But let me just focus on the main three. Number 1, the 2000 cartoons. What could replace Adult Swim is something that can really corner the market on us quote-unquote adults by showing us the things that aired around 2000 to 2010. I mean, look at the math here. If you were born in the 1990s, no matter what year you were born, you are at least older than around 16, which, believe it or not, is a lot of people. If not the cartoons that aired in the 2000s, then how about the older cartoons? But if they want, why not air those cartoons that are classic at night, which appeal more to adults, which is why Adult Swim exists in the position that it's in the first place. Yes, this sounds unrealistic, but open-ended is to try to think of these things in a open-ended and grab the crowd that did leave Cartoon Network to go on to other things, and everybody's happy. Now the last option is pretty much not really realistic or likely in the slightest, but what about those other acquired cartoons that they have, or the stuff they have on Teletoon? I'm sure Cartoon Network has a giant vault of cartoons just sitting there and collecting dust, whether physically or digitally, and not all of them may be cartoons or of Cartoon Network's original creation, so if you air them at the few hours of the night, would that work well? If the stuff they air at 2, 3, even 4 AM on Adult Swim serve anything, they serve that there is an audience for nearly anything. Now, if none of those options seem like they can fill the hole that Adult Swim put, then why not all of them at the same time? Sure, Boomerang may not serve its original purpose, but Boomerang doesn't necessarily do that either, with shows like Wabbit, original programming I might add, being put directly to Boomerang. It's not so much as if the stuff is coming back to you, as they used to say, but more so the stuff is being thrown out. This is all just options. The other thing I want to talk about before I give my answer is, if not being pushed off of Cartoon Network sounds like something you can agree with, how about being pushed down the lineup? There isn't that many studies on children staying up later that I can find, but I did find a few on teenagers doing so, and as one, or a former one, I can confirm many of us do so. To make my argument more solid, let's assume that children have been roughly good with their bedtime and sleep around the time that Adult Swim starts. Well, since Adult Swim has their graveyard slot, their priority of shows considerably lowers to the 3 options I said above. That way, maybe it could be children first, then teens, and then adults. And no, I'm not saying this because I'm trying to be entitled to the older shows. That's what DVDs and the occasional cartoon special is for. However, you could reignite, possibly even bring back shows from the dead. I think it wouldn't be too out there to believe that some old shows parallel with some newer shows, just with the foundation and some other things different. I know this may be a bit crazy, but maybe taking off the Fox imports maybe? I know that's where most of the traffic comes from, but again, this changes to something to think about. If anything, they can can push their Fox imports down, and everybody's happy. So would I remove Adult Swim from Cartoon Network? This is gonna be a bit split, but yes and no. From a business/corporate perspective, no. If it's not broken, don't fix it. If people come to watch, then sure, let's not completely replace it, but I heavily suggest trimming it back, making room for other cartoons, which, as the name would suggest, this is the perfect network to do so. I also believe that a lot of money comes from shows like Rick and Morty, Aqua Teen, and the Fox imports. So if that's the case, keep it, but just trim it back. However, from an anime, and let Cartoon Network celebrate the years of great animation, and even at times when it's so great, but not so bad that it kills the medium type of cartoons. Without those, we would not be where we are now. So maybe it's time for Adult Swim to move on or move back. But I want to know what you guys think. I have a card in this video where you can vote, should Adult Swim move on, move back, or stay where it's at. Now, I have a very important video to do. As always, I hope your time is well spent, and Alpha out.